Hi, Marina.
Hi, Liat. How are you?
And well, good to be here with you.
Great. Today, I'd like to know something different, obviously. Self-love. Self-love is maybe one of the most overused expressions in the self-development and new age world. And I'd like to ask you, how do you see self-love? And what difference do you see between self-love and egoism?
Okay, thank you. So yeah, I think two things created a bad name to self-love. One from our modern society that took self-love to egoism and being self-centered, don't care about anyone else, and we anyone who has some compassion about other people and want to at least see themselves as a good person. It's hard to say that I love myself, or I have self-love, because the the first thing that we think about is being egoistic and not thinking about other people. The
Mhm.
other side that
Mhm.
gave a bad name to self-love is the new age, self-love retweets and over talking about how important it is to love yourself and love yourself unconditionally. And I think many people don't really know what it means, other than just having like a title that says, yeah, you need to love yourself, whatever that means. I think that if before we even dive into self-love and what it means and what's the difference between being egoistic and self-love, we need to say that we don't even know what love is. We most of us think about love as something that is dependency. We mix love with attraction and romantic relationship, and love is for me something much deeper. Is the acknowledgement that you deserve the best, and you are worthy of everything that you want. And if we talk about unconditional self-love, just by being yourself. And I think if we try to define love, the way I look at this and what helps me understand is when I look at small babies, and that they deserve everything they need just by being. They don't need to impress, they don't need to help others, they don't have to think about other people, they don't need to achieve anything to deserve that being taken care of, being loved, being hugged,
Mhm.
receiving food and comfort and all of that. So if we look at the essence of love, and we can see this, in nature, we can see it in animals, love is the first and most important right that we all have just by being ourselves. From that comes the worthiness of living the life that you want to live, of achieving or creating or experiencing what you want to experience. And I think from there I can go to self love, because one of the things that I see more often than not when we work with people is that they want something, but then they doubt it. They doubt it because they're not sure they're able, to achieve that, because maybe it's too much, it's too big. They haven't achieved it up until being 30s or 40s or 50s. So why will it happen now? And the other side is that they think, who am I? Who am I to want this? Do I really worthy of that? Did I work hard enough to receive that? And why would I have that when most of the people around me, maybe in my family and my immediate surrounding, or maybe even, in humanity in general, most of the people don't have that. Because if we look at most of humanity, they're not happy, they're not wealthy, not necessarily healthy. So if you look at most people around you, they don't have what you wish to have. Most of us, even if we think that people are egoistic and they are, self-centered, I think that most of us are much more altruistic than we think. And it's really hard for us to want something that we see that other people don't have. And creates a lot of shame around
Hmm.
even wanting that, and a lot of guilt. Just want that, and guilt once you achieve that. That's another thing that made some people lose what they achieved because they felt guilty of having that while other people don't have it. In relationship, in love, in money, in health, some people, they pay in their health for being very successful because within them they have an unconscious belief that they have to pay a price. And even if in our daily life we talk about with people and they're successful, and you'll talk with them and you'll ask them, how they got to where they got. And most of the people will tell you that they worked hard for that, and they
Hmm.
paid prices, and their family paid prices, and their health paid prices, and they have to really justify their success because they don't feel worthy of having what they have if they haven't achieved that, fair and square, and they worked hard for that. So this, if we go back to the definition of love and self-love, the fact that you actually worthy of what you want just by being yourself, most of us don't even believe in that. So when we go to manifestation, and manifestation basically talks about, achieving your dreams, everything that you want is possible. And not only that it's possible, you don't necessarily have to work as hard as people told you to. Although, I think, that realigning our energy and, changing our identity and aligning our emotions and belief, it's work, okay? But it's not this, physical hard work that we all thought that we should do in order to receive results. So when we talk about manifestation, it's, maybe an unspoken belief for many people that they're not willing to receive whatever they want. First, because they feel that they're not worthy of it, but the other thing is because they think it's not okay to receive this easily. And one of the things that we see when we work with people, and magic starts to happen and things start to flow into their lives, is they doubt it. How could it be, that everything flows and everything works so well, and I didn't even work so hard for that? So you know what they do unconsciously? They mess up everything. So they'll have to work really hard in order to justify the fact that they received what they want. So when we talk about self-love in the manifestation world, is understanding that whatever I want, creation, God, reality, nature wants to give me. The same as a loving mother to her child that she wants to nurture, and she wants them to be as happy, as healthy, as wealthy, and have everything that they want just by being their mom. And the way I see it, creation wants to give us all of that because we are the children of creation. And when we understand that just by being ourselves, we are worthy of having everything that we want, what happens, and I want to go to the fact that, okay, why you and not anyone else, you understand that everyone around me is the same. Okay. And the same way that I want to receive everything and I am worthy of that, everyone else is, because we are all part of creation, and creation wants to give all of us this flow of love and abundance and all of that. So the fact that I feel worthy doesn't take from your worthiness. And what we were taught in a world of competition and not enoughness is that if I love myself, it has to be on someone else has to pay the price. It's someone else's expense. But when you understand that this is not how reality works, okay, actually, if you look in a forest, okay, there's an ecosystem that everything works together, and there's one tree grow up to be as big and strong as its potential, and not thinking if they are taking light from the sun from something else. And in this ecosystem, the little fungus or the little flowers, they will grow underneath that, and it will be a perfect ecosystem to allow anyone to create their best appearance, to become their, the best potential that they can. And it's the same in life. There's more than enough to go around. There's more than enough abundance, more than enough love. If I have a great relationship and, I love my husband, it's not taking from anyone else's love, right? We understand that with love, okay? If I'm going to be happy and I'm going to smile, there are going to be enough smiles for anyone else, right? In money, we have a problem because we thought that money is, finite
Scarce.
and there's
Hmm.
and scarce and there's not enough. But that's not true either because, countries, they they print money as much as they want. Okay,
Hmm.
money is abundant, the same as love, the same as a smile, the same as if I'm going to be super healthy and have tons of energy, you can be super healthy and have tons of energy and will have enough. So money is the same and everything else is the same. But since we learned that we live in a world of competition, if I want something good for myself, it means necessarily that I want something bad for you. And that's not true. And I'll say more than that. If you love yourself truly and you understand this rules of creation, and you understand that you deserve all of that, and you are worthy all of that, of all of this, and we are all the same, I want you to prosper the same way I want myself to prosper because I know there's more than enough for everyone. I know that if you'll bring your gifts to the world, if you'll be the highest, strongest tree, I can be the flower that grows underneath you and you'll give me exactly what I need, not because I'm less than, but because you're doing your thing and I'm doing my thing. And that's what really creation is, that this the puzzle of perfection when everyone here has their job or has something to bring to this world and it's no one else's. No one else can take this job, this role from them. No one else can create this instead of them because that's your unique fingerprint that no one else has. And I know that if you will prosper, it will actually be easier for me to prosper because we talk about frequency and we talk about the fact that we emit energy and we receive energy. So if I am actually with someone that really love themselves, not from egoistic part, not from a part that I'm better than anyone else or someone is less than me, but just being me, it really helps me become more loving to myself much easier. The same as if I go to a room of happy people and they're smiling and there's joy there, it's going to be much easier for me to, feel this joy and be joyful with them than if I go to a room of everybody sobbing and crying and depressed. It will be much harder. So when you understand that it's all connected and it works together, and I'm not taking from you and you're not taking from me, loving yourself is the most loving thing you can do to anyone else because when I love myself and I see that I'm worthy, the only thing I want for you is the same. Nothing more, nothing less. So the way I see it, self-love is the most altruistic thing or state that we can be in because when you really, really love yourself and you really understand that you're worthy of everything, you understand that everyone else is worthy of everything the same way. And I'll say one more thing about manifestation. We keep repeating that, creation and reality is created by frequency. What we'll see in our reality is not what we want. It's not our vision board. It's not our mantras. It's not what we do. It's our frequency. And the same way that I said in another episode that fear is a very strong energy and it creates more fear and more things to be afraid of. On the other side, love is one of the strongest energies there is. And we can think about a mother or a father that love their children and they will do everything for them and they will, change worlds for them. It's the same for us. So love is a very strong energy. It's a very strong emotion, a very strong frequency. So when we hold self-love, we will see in our reality the reflection of self-love, of being worthy, of wanting what we want, and achieving that and receiving that just by holding this frequency. And just
Wow.
one more thing I'll say about
Hmm.
self-love that comes with that is also learning to put boundaries. But maybe we'll do an episode about that separately. But boundaries is one of the most important things that goes hand in hand with self-love, because if you love yourself, you'll have to learn to say no for some things. Oh, wow. Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. What can I say? You left me speechless, really. Really, self-love is really a comprehensive topic and so important. And from what you say, it seems like one of the basic understandings and frequencies to hold.
Yeah, and I'll say,
So,
I've been working with probably tens of thousands of people over the years, and I always say there's one common thing that if I could do, if I could press one button, and each and every one of the people that I ever worked with, and it doesn't matter if they're young or old and children or in their 80s, if they're, super rich, it's the button of self-love. I think that's one of the missing energy that we all miss in our lives because we, mislearned what love is, what self-love is. And I think one of the greatest reason why people are not living the life that they want, the life that they deserve, is because they don't love themselves enough to feel worthy of it. So if I could press a button, and anyone is listening to us now, is the button of self-love. And I invite you to practice, self-love. And if we'll talk about tools, is, what is the loving thing I can do for myself today? And it can be taking 5 minutes break and go to some place that I like. It can be having coffee without looking at messages. It can be
mhm.
having a long bath. It can be, holding myself. It can be talking nicely to myself. Okay, we maybe we'll talk about this again in a different episode. But if we
Yeah.
want to ground this and just give tool is ask yourself daily, what is the loving thing I can do for myself? And if we talked about boundaries, is if someone asks you to do something or you need to get some make some decision, ask yourself what would be the loving decision to make, or what would be the loving answer for myself, and from there to others, because when we're loving to ourselves, we are loving to others, that I can do, or I can answer.
Wow. As I said, beautifully said. Thank you so much, Liat, for this
Thank you, Marina.
loving episode.
Thank you, Marina.